looking at this room and I was trying to figure out how do you engage the people way back in the back that can barely see the stage at the same time the TV audience. I'd like to share with you today what I think will not just be the battle for the multi-screen home, but it's really any device to any content from where you are in the world, and it's how it's going to power a new generation of the Internet. I'll talk specifically about the multi-screen capability, but I really think it's going to be about the battle for the Internet of Everything. How you connect to those 8 devices in the home, which in my opinion will be 1,000 devices if you look out 10 years from now. How you from any device get the information pushed to you at the right point in time to make the right decision, whether it's on entertainment, business, energy, etc. on it. I will challenge you, and some of my service provider friends in the audience know, I like to kind of talk about market transitions. And if you agree with everything I say today, I will have failed. So my first thought is, riding down in the elevator today, I turned to one of my colleagues from one of the large U.S. service providers, and I said, it's going to be a very exciting year. And he kind of shrugged his shoulders and he said, that's an understatement, and the year after this will be even more challenging. And the point that he was making very quickly was all of a sudden a new technology phase is coming in at faster and faster pace, new challengers with different business models than they've seen before, and a different group of competitors than he's seen before. And it is the ability to really see where this goes that makes a difference in terms of service providers being able to lead as they go forward. Very often people have asked, John, you all have been fortunate enough to, your competitors from 15 to 20 years ago, none of them exist today. From 10 to 15 years ago, only one does. From 5 to 10 years ago, great companies, Nortel, Alcatel, Lucent, Siemens, Ericsson, etc., a shadow of what they were before. And if we don't transition ourselves, we will get lost behind. But we come out of an industry that is a Spartan industry. And the point that we've always made is if you miss market transitions, no matter how powerful you are, you will get left behind. So as you think about it, and I'm sitting in your seat watching as a service provider, first thing is get the transitions right. Secondly, really listen to your customers. What are the customers after in terms of what they expect as consumer, as business? And the third thing that I think the service providers bring as a group, you can architect things together in a way that makes consistency of services, the ability really to deliver video or security in ways that your counterparts cannot. And instead of being isolated applications in silos, tying them together, we think will be the future. That's what we found works in our own industry, and it's what we try to practice. Each time a market transition happens, instead of saying, oh, what does that mean to me negatively, view it as an opportunity. And look at it how you transition our organizations to take advantage of it. Each time everything's moved to IP, that's where the leverage has been in the industry. It's where we moved into IP voice, then IP video, then any device to any content, then moved in the cloud, and everybody said we'll be out of the cloud and out of the data center with our servers in a year. We're growing faster than anybody else is in this area. And now if you watch what has really taken off is applications being able to run anywhere in the network, but also the capability for every device to be connected in a way that adds value to the consumer. And the key point here isn't about connectivity. It's about the Internet of Everything, where you combine things with process, with people, with data, to get the right information to the right device at the right time that allows you as a person or a machine to make the right decision. And as you think how this plays out and how we move forward in the market, it also goes back to the winners here. In my opinion, the winners are going to be very simply determined by who has the architectures in the home to tie this together. And it won't be siloed solutions with entertainment video or energy or security or application screens, etc. It's how you tie those together. Secondly, consistency of ease of use together architecturally. Sounds easy, but the consumer, whether you're a business or an individual, wants the simplicity and ease of use. Video is the killer app. We all understand that. But as you begin to connect things to sensors in ways that you just begin to toy with, you watch many of the service providers in this room move into content and sports. Think what it's going to be like in the future when the shoes of your favorite basketball team basically have sensors. They have sensors on the apparel where they monitor the heart. You basically have sensors in the ball. You can watch how far the ball was shot, to what level, how hard was the player's heart beating when they were shooting a specific foul shot, etc. And the point that I'm making is you will see these screens come together with a consistency that are very important. Everything's moving to IP. Bandwidth becomes extremely key here, and we've always found we underestimate what is the actual requirement going to be. I believe this market is set up for service providers to win, but only if you address some of the issues I have here on the lower side. I don't expect you to agree with everything I've said, but I want to challenge you on what this means. The opportunity in front of us as you connect the home, and whatever works in the home, it's going to be BYOD. Whatever you use in your home, it's going to evolve to your car, it's going to evolve to your workplace, it's going to travel with you. Same thing is true in screens and accessibility. The exciting part is the financial reward here gets very large. $19 trillion of profits and economic benefits in the next decade as you connect these various devices from the home all the way to your workplace to the cloud. If you look at that, $14.4 trillion is in the private sector and $4.6 trillion is in the public sector. We literally break this down by industry, where manufacturing is $2.9 trillion, retail is $1.5 trillion. You can say, John, you're talking about business. No, I'm really talking about how this all comes together from a consumer perspective and how each of these businesses will interface into the home and the opportunity that service providers have to pull it together. You've seen the device discussion. When Cisco was formed, there was literally 1,000 devices connected to the internet. Today, there are over 10 billion devices, probably 12 billion. On its way by the end of this decade to be 50 billion. On the way, in my opinion, well before the end of the next decade to be over 500 billion. Everybody knows the power of a network is what? Number of devices squared. So if you really use these devices properly, you begin to see the power and the potential profit opportunity, whether it's in the home or in the business world. And the concepts of the screens following you any place in the world to get access to your applications becomes very key. But it isn't the excitement about the number of devices. It is the ability literally to think about the number of applications that get loaded to these devices each year. The number of applications loaded to these devices is up fourfold in the last 4 years. 77 billion applications this year to those devices. That's why you begin to think about this as an application-centric infrastructure. And go back to what I said before. If all you do is connect things, you get no payback. Whether it's in entertainment, whether it's in security, whether it's in any other aspect I talk about. But as you connect and you change process and you get that right information to the right machine to the right person, that's where the economic benefit comes in. The numbers, this is Cisco's Visual Networking Index. We've been doing it for 8 years. If you only take away one number on this, from 2013 to 2018, 5 years, everything goes up 10 to 20x. And you look at those numbers, they're breathtaking. So the opportunity will not be, is there going to be a lot of demand for traffic? The key is how do we monetize it and how do we expand the consumer experience or a business experience that they're willing to pay a premium for the opportunities. The digital home at CES we announced with AT&T, what that was going to look like in the future, went way beyond the screens. It really is talking about how does this cover the home in many ways we're familiar with today, connecting appliances, connecting security, connecting the entertainment world, etc. But that's just a starting point. I would call it the ante. It's how you begin to think about how does this all tie together in the home and how you begin to say how is this delivered from the cloud, but physically and virtually, where you begin to see the role the service provider will play. Now, what I'm saying is single applications would not be the future. Merely connecting a thermostat or merely connecting the energy capability or merely connecting your entertainment through video won't be the answer. It's when you pull these together that the power of an architecture happens. And on the last slide, you got the comment that I sent. When Google about Nest, it sent a message to every one of our traditional companies who sells into the home about how fast this market is going to change and how profit potential will change for companies. I'm going to take it from the home to a city. And my point is not to switch the directions. It is more to remind each of us in this room that if you only do single applications within a home or siloed applications within the home or within a city, you don't get the economic payback. There is no more advanced city in the world than Barcelona. Everyone will tell you when you look at this location, it basically is the digital city of the future. In this, they get $3 billion of economic benefit every year from how they connect all these devices to a common approach. 47,000 jobs created in the last 3 years, directly attributable to, quote, the smart city, the digital city, and you know where I'm going. It applies to the digital home as well. The ability to break that down and be able to say, what do you get from your smart buildings? What do you get in terms of your energy savings? You're talking $127 million. What do you get from smart garbage? Big business, and surprisingly complex in terms of how you do it. But it's only once you begin to tie together all these applications do you get that $3 billion payback. And that's why many companies, service providers, and many of our peers have failed when they do, quote, smart cities. They do an application such as security, or they do an application such as traffic, or they do an application such as how they use their public transportation, and it does not scale or get the economic benefit. It's when you tie these together architecturally that you move with speed that accomplishes your goal. Now you know where I'm headed. I'm saying this is going to apply in the home the same way. But before I do that, I'm going to take it all the way to a country. First digital country in the world is Israel. They are the most advanced technology company in the world. I think most everyone would agree. More IPOs per capita by a factor of tenfold than any other country in the world. Tremendously sophisticated. But their prime minister from one political party, their president from another party, their head of finance from another party, all agreed they wanted to become the first digital country. Why? Didn't talk about connectivity. Didn't say a word about routing and switching. It was about job creation. It was about GDP growth. It was about inclusion of minorities such as the Arab population, which is 20% of the population not participating in high tech, the Orthodox Jewish population. It was about moving cities to the south. It was about health care. It was about education. It was about invigorating their IT community for the next generation as they move forward, etc. And what you saw was a complete infrastructure laid out architecturally. And by the way, Cisco won every element of it. What was missing was our service provider partner to go across the board with us. And the ability to do this in countries and cities will take off. The ability to think about what this means in terms of direction overall, and I'm going to bring it back to retail or store, and then you know where I'm going to go with that. I'm going to bring the store back to the store from your TV. You look at what occurs in the store today. It is not a single application such as a smart shopping cart. It's not an application such as Wi-Fi to be able to push ads to you. It's not an application that basically just follows you through the store, sees where you hesitate, and says, can an associate help you there? It's when you combine all these technologies together, video, structured and unstructured data, that you begin to dramatically change the payback that a retailer gets. And the ability to tie that to the social media. That same concept will apply into your home. When we wear at almost every stadium in the world, we do the Olympics, we have the key infrastructure for it, almost all major sporting stadiums are aligned architecturally with us. It isn't about the switching or routing. It's about how do you change the fan experience, and from a business perspective, how do you get the average consumer to pay 30 to 50% more per visit when they go there. Same thing's true in retail. As you begin to do this, first physically in a store and then virtually over time, $1.5 trillion in retail, the ability to increase the shopping cart spend by 10 to 15% for each visit, 1 to 3% increase in productivity. And so you begin to see how this Internet of Everything, whether it's a retail application from your home on the TV or all the way down to a physical store or the combination of the two, will change business dramatically. I could walk through the others, but you know where I'm headed. The same screens that you use at home, BYOD, as you travel in your car, as you travel to business, as you travel your personal life, will be what you will use. How do you monetize it? And this is something I think is very key. All of us understand the loads on the networks from the service provider perspective are going up dramatically. But if we're right on this, and I believe we strongly will be, because when we were together 2 years ago, I'd have to buy you a couple of drinks to talk about the Internet of Everything. Now your board of directors come to Cisco to talk about what do we do? How do we transform it? It will be probably 5 to 10 times the impact of the Internet from its inception to today, what will occur in just this next decade. And how do you make money on it? It goes beyond the devices that we and our service provider partners will put into this. Consultancy becomes very key, but it gives the service providers to do what? Become the #1 IT player to the consumer in their home or to businesses. And as you think about how this logically expands, it's talking about from a technology transition, moving from a compute-centric, i.e. data centers, servers, to a network-centric environment. Plays right in the sweet spot of all the service providers. But it requires the ability to take this combination of how you connect the multi-screen environment and really bring it to its practical implication. It ties to what each one of us in this room are looking at. How do you get additional revenue? How do you dramatically cut OpEx as you go forward? How do you have an agility both from an economic and a new competitor's perspective? And how do you bring your speed of new services to the home, to the multiple screen devices, or to how it expands beyond the home? The ability to think about what this means in terms of automation, virtualization, programmability, and orchestration, and how this ties together technically to really achieve your goals in the home. We think it will only be done through architectures that tie together a platform with API interfaces to the infrastructure and northbound interfaces to the applications with services integrated together. This is what we believe most of our service provider partners will do. The ability, just to use this as an example, because I never believe in talking about an issue without saying, all right, what are the proof points? This is the way we attacked the service provider opportunity from a mobile perspective. What percentage market share we have in the top 9 areas. This is what our peers did in terms of their market share color-wise. And what do you see? It's a rainbow with the exception of the white piece, which is Cisco. The point that I'm making is architectures win. It's the exact same thing that happened in the enterprise environment, where basically when you combine 18 major different functional areas architected together, where our peers made the mistake of doing them siloed, and you know where I'm headed, this exact same thing is going to happen in the home, that if you don't play architecturally across the home, you get left behind. Now, the ability then to combine all these architectures, from the data center architecture to the cloud, to the mobility, to the security architecture, the ability to really leverage in how you're going to do Internet of Everything, the ability literally to connect devices and download those applications to get the consumer or business results very quickly is what the future is about. And as the service provider does this architecturally for your customers, what does it mean to you? Because these products were designed to work closer together, it means your operating costs are dramatically reduced. It means your ability to not roll a truck near as often are dramatically reduced as you introduce virtualization. Your ability to bring out services much faster and to literally make it as future-proof as you move forward into the market. Now, this is what I believe will be the service provider strategy into the home with the same type of approach. The ability, as you think about where this goes, for any screen to get to any data at the point in time you need it, to make the best decision for entertainment or for business. The Internet of Everything, if you will. I don't expect you to agree with what I said today in every aspect. In fact, if I didn't make some of the people uncomfortable in my comments, I haven't done my job. But I look forward to the panel, and I want to thank you very much for being in front of you today. Thank you.